You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. My name is Arya, and this is your NXT video update for Wednesday, February 7th, 2018. Thank you all for listening. We kicked things off this week with the news that Nigel McGuinness is back from the flu. I would just like to point out that Percy Watson has announced a 5-star match, and Nigel McGuinness has not. With that in mind, Undisputed Era came out for the opener, in which Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly were scheduled to defend the NXT Tag Team Championship against the former champions Eric Young and Alexander Wolf of Sanity. However, as Fish, O'Reilly, and Adam Cole all preened to the camera, Sanity attacked them and assaulted them from behind. Security ran out to break everything up as Cole, Fish, and O'Reilly snuck away, and Killian Dane laid out multiple security guards. Mr. Eagle came out and announced that all 6 men would take part in a 6-man tornado match in the main event. So for the second time in just a month, Sanity will not be getting their title match. And since Sanity and Undisputed Era slinked away to the back, we got a different tag team match to open things up tonight, as Heavy Machinery continued their ongoing rivalry with Riddick Moss and Tino Sabatelli. Moss got the heat on Knight by grabbing his tights from behind and using a lariat to the back of the head. Sabatelli was greeted with Tino Sucks chants, which surprised pretty much everyone, since Moss and Sabatelli is used to pretty much no reaction. For some reason, Sabatelli and Moss tagged each other exceptionally hard. In a takeoff for the last time these two teams fought, Sabatelli used a roll-up and put his feet on the ropes, but the referee caught it this time, and he got pinned by Tucker Knight after the compactor. After the match, Moss walked out on Sabatelli. Someone should show these guys videotapes of Blake and Murphy and track what has happened to those two since they last teamed up 2 years ago. Blake and Murphy, former NXT Tag Team Champions, last teamed up 2 years ago, and they've both been pretty much off TV since. Meanwhile, you might recall that their manager was Alexa Bliss, who has gone on to win 4 main roster women's championships. Next out came Johnny Gargano for the first time since his match in NXT TakeOver Philadelphia, where he came up short in his quest to conquer Andrade Cien Almas. Gargano said he went into Philly more confident than ever. He brought his family there. He saw himself winning and coming back here as champion, which unfortunately did not happen, which sucks, but getting this overwhelming positive reaction from the fans and the respect that it shows means even more, and has given him the inspiration to pick himself back up and continue being Johnny Gargano. He'll never forget TakeOver, but he will also never forget Tommaso Ciampa hitting him in the back with a crutch. He's coming for Ciampa, and was in the middle of challenging him to come out when we were joined by the champ himself, Andrade Cien Almas. Zelina Vega asked him, "Who cares if Gargano won everyone's respect? There should be a parade with confetti for the champion." Gargano proved nothing except that he is a loser. Almas has beaten him again and again and again, saying that he's not Johnny Gargano, but Johnny Loser. The fans began chanting for Candice LeRae, so Gargano mentioned that his second favorite part of TakeOver was his wife beating the hell out of her. Vega got all up in Gargano's face, which is more impressive than when she tried to get me all up in Drew McIntyre's face. So Candice ran out and shoved her down. Almas bailed, and the husband-wife duo was left standing tall. Vega got on the ramp on the stage and said they'd beaten him 3 times. What does he want? Gargano said he wants another title shot, and Vega said that the only way he'll get one is if Gargano agrees that if he loses, he must leave NXT, which Gargano agreed to. Shayna Baszler said she's the most feared woman in NXT. There will not be a rematch with Ember Moon because Ember is scared, and she dared the press to go tell Ember she said that. Tyler Bate wasn't happy that he didn't beat Roderick Strong last week, but said he will be watching next week when Strong challenges Pete Dunne for the UK title. He said that he was happy to win Match of the Year last year and can't wait to have more Match of the Years with everyone here in NXT. Bianca Belair defeated Jessica Hill in 30 seconds. She hit a burning hammer and a fall-away powerbomb, which they call the alley-oop, and that was it. A video package for Kairi Sane aired. She's back to being the Pirate Princess, so I guess her enthusiasm for yachts has lessened in the past 2 weeks. Next week, Aleister Black returns. Pete Dunne will defend the UK title against Roderick Strong, and Ember Moon apparently isn't that scared, and she will put the NXT Women's title on the line against Shayna Baszler. Mauro Ranallo encouraged us to set our DVR for that UK title match, and I'm not sure if he understands what the WWE Network is and that it's not on normal TV, and thus you can't DVR it. Main event time. Undisputed Era versus Sanity in a 6-man tag team tornado match. I'm not sure the order of how everything was taped here, but I'll tell you what, the fans were a lot more enthusiastic for these 6 guys at the start of the show than they were here early on in the match. It began with a wild 6-way brawl. They actually had 2 commercial breaks in this match. And the fans finally woke up about 5 minutes in when EY pulled out the plunder. Killian was mopping up the ringside area with Bobby Fish, so Cole and O'Reilly separated Young and Wolf from the pack and fought them through the backstage area. Fish did hit a beautiful moonsault to Dane, but unfortunately for Bobby, his advantage did not last long, and he began running away to get away from Dane. At this point, the other 4 returned from the backstage area, so Dane heaved Fish off the stage and on to everyone else. As the match continued, Undisputed Era had no problem throwing around Wolf and Young, but spent more time than not in flight when Dane got his hands on them. Cole at one point discovered the best offense against Dane was to move out of the way, which was proved when Dane went crashing through a table that Cole just seconds earlier was propped up against. Back in the ring, Wolf held his own for a second, but got super kicked and laid out with total elimination. Eric Young was in with a kendo stick. He held his own for a few seconds, but then he got laid out with a super kick and a brain buster. Finally, Dane got back in and single-handedly destroyed all 3 members of Undisputed Era, pinning Fish with the Ulster Plantation. So that does it for this week. Will Sanity ever get their title match? Probably. But it probably won't happen next week. But until next week, I want to thank you all for listening, and I'll talk to you again in 7 days.
You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.